fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pole. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Heather D. Tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to another Fish Report Live. Thanks for joining us. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. We're your host. Back in our sound room are two guys we like to call TK and Heavy D. We'll be joining them a little bit later in the program. And, of course, out in Studio R, it's always Covey. We'll be talking to him here in just a second. And, Ken, we are absolutely packed tonight talking high school sports.
We are, Craig. We got a lot of fall sports to cover tonight, and really looking forward to our interview tonight with the first-year head coach of the Russia cross-country program on the boys' side and the girls' side, and that's Mr. Mark Travis. We're going to find out what's making his teams click, what takes to get them ready for the postseason. Craig, we're going to have Kobe, of course, cover MAC football like he does so well, and we're going to talk a little volleyball. We're going to talk about the first-round blowouts, as you typically see in the sectionals. We're going to talk some cross-country. We got a lot to cover. We need to get down to work right now.
We better get started here, Ken. Let's get things going here, talking some high school football. And for that, we're going to head out to Studio R and check in with Kobe. And Kobe, we're headed into week number 8 coming up, and 5 MAC games last week. Speaking of blowouts, those were all blowouts. I think the closest game was maybe 22 points. This week, it looks to be just the opposite. So let's get things started talking about that Coldwater at Anna game. And Kobe, if either of these teams wants to win the MAC, this is a must-win game, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm 10-0 in my last 2 weeks, so it's been going really well. But I talked about last week how you look at all 5 of these games on the slate, and they are all great matchups in their own unique way. Max Prep's a national high school source named Coldwater and Anna as the best small school football game in the entire nation this week. So, yeah, big game. Anna's definitely got their MAC hopes on the line. If they can win, they could possibly create a potential 3-way tie if Coldwater were to beat Marion in Week 10. So Anna's playing for their MAC hopes, trying to win back-to-back MAC titles. Coldwater's trying to stay the course. The big thing is Coldwater hasn't really been tested in close games. Their closest win has been, I believe, by 18 points to Minster. And Anna, the big key for Anna for the Rockets is they're going to have to be a little more two-dimensional than one-dimensional running the ball with Bixler and Huelskamp. I think the air attack of the Coldwater is the difference. I believe the Cavaliers go on the road and defeat the Rockets and move to 8-0 with that big game against rival St. Henry and then Marion to close the season.
Kobe, let's head over to Delphus St. John's and Parkway at Delphus. We look at this on paper, and we got 2 teams that have combined for only 3 wins all season. But the strength of schedule is tough for both these teams. They play in the MAC, and they're battling for their first win in conference play. What do you see in this game?
Yeah, I think that really puts a motivation factor into it. And like I said, they're all great matchups, and the great matchups kind of the bottom portion of the MAC there, and you get Parkway here. I like Parkway in this game. They've been a little more competitive in a lot of their games this year, so I think the Panthers, they've really been showing a lot of improvement. They did start out 2-0 and winning in the non-conference, so I like the Panthers here over the Blue Jays.
All right, Kobe, next game is Fort Recovery at St. Henry. The Indians make the short 7-mile drive across 119 to take on the Redskins in what should be a very entertaining game.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great game just right over there across 118. And I like Fort Recovery in this matchup. The problem has been their defense this year. That's really held them back. They've allowed one of the most rushing yards in the MAC, I think, right now. Kind of struggling on that side of the ball there. St. Henry, the big thing with them is they've been having great starts. It's been the second half that's been really haunting them and plaguing them this second half. I think the quarterback play of Schmitz over there is really going to be the difference for Fort Recovery. So I look to see Fort Recovery roll over the young St. Henry Redskins squad.
Kobe, that might bring us to the biggest game in the MAC of the night, and that's the Minster Wildcats traveling to the Marion Local Flyers. Kobe, this should be a good one. You've got Marion coming in conference play at 5-0. You got the Wildcats coming in at 4-1. But, I like to look at a little bit of this game past the players, and let's take a look at what Coach Stokes and Coach Goodwin are going to bring to this game. Any tricks, anything that you see, because this is two great football teams.
Yeah, you're going to see a physical battle here. That's what both of these teams like to be. They like to be really physical, especially Coach Goodwin, always fundamentally sound in their tackling and in the trenches. And it's the same with Coach Stokes, too. It always starts up front. That's always where the big battle is going to happen. So who wins the battle in the trenches, who dictates that, so to speak, is going to be the difference here. Now, Marion can come at you with so many different runners dynamically, like Brandon Fleck and Dylan Heitkamp. So they're really going to be the difference here. They'll get those 6, 7, 8-yard gains. Those are going to be the difference, and Marion's going to control the line of scrimmage. I think that's the difference here on the side for Coach Stokes. And Minster, I think they lose this one, but I think they win out. They're actually sitting at about 6 right now in their region, which is kind of shocking for a team that's only lost one game. It shows you how tight that Region 23 is there in Division 6. But Marion's sitting up there right at the top of Division 7. I think they win. They knock Minster out of MAC title contention with that big game coming up in 2 weeks, potentially against Coldwater, where both teams, it could be the MAC decide it all there. I bet that's what a lot of people are hoping for, unless you're from Anna or Minster this week.
Well, Covey, you're talking playoffs now, and that brings us to our last game. You got Versailles at New Bremen. Two teams hanging around the middle of the MAC there. They can't seem to hang with those top 4 teams, yet they're better than those bottom 4 teams. Do either one of these programs have a chance to make the playoffs?
New Bremen does for sure. You look at Versailles, it's going to be a hard time for them kind of accumulating points. Being up in Division 5, it's a little harder. Sitting at 3-3 here. I like New Bremen being at home here, and New Bremen can't really afford more than one more slip-up at the end of the season if they want to get their first playoff appearance since 2004. We've talked about it constantly. There's a shot that they end up 7-3. They've got, or even 8-2. They've got Minster. I think they have a pretty winnable game again next week. I believe they do play Delphus, so I think they do end up 7-3 or 8-2. I think they do beat Versailles in a tight one. This might be the most evenly matched game that you might see out of all these great games that we got. So I like the Cardinals there with their rushing attack. They'll throw a variety of runners at you. Versailles has gone more to a pass-style offense this year under new coach Ryan Jones. You don't really see that from Versailles. You know, the definition of Versailles football is smash-mouth football. But they've kind of gone away from it. But I do like the job that Ryan Jones is doing. They have a lot of young athletes, and they're sitting at, I believe, 3-3, 4-3 right now. They're actually 4-3-4. I think it's been really impressive for them. I think they're going in the right direction. And don't be shocked if they're in the playoffs by next year or the year after.
You know, Kobe, speaking of the Tigers, I hear a lot of great things about the youth movement over there. I know they've got a couple really good young grades going clear down to the 8th grade, the freshman class, sophomore class. Coach Jones, you feel he's the answer over there for sales? You think he's doing a nice job?
Yeah, it's got to be a culture changer there for sure, because Versailles kind of in the way was not moving in the way kind of high school football was there for a while under their last coaching regime. And they're kind of moving more into that kind of spread style offense there, where you get your ball out to your athletes there. And that's we know Versailles has got a lot of athletes there. You see on the basketball floor, you see on the baseball field, and Versailles has got the potential to get back to where they were and making deep playoff runs and everything. And I think you're going to really see it start to pick up here. Only about one playoff appearance in the past 7 years. So that's a big. That's going to be the big difference. Is who's a culture changer who can really. You aren't trying to find an Al Hetrick out there. You got to find someone be their own coach out there and kind of just usher in a new era of Versailles football over there. And that's what I think Coach Jones is doing. Hats off to him and what the job he's doing, but I just don't think they get the job done Friday night.
Well, Kobe, listen, we're running out of time, but we've covered the MAC. One more game we want to talk about. We've been talking about the CCC the last several weeks. Matter of fact, had Coach Schondelmeyer from Arcanum on the show a couple weeks ago. He's sitting at 7-0 right now, going into what's arguably the game of the year right now, taking on Covington. Want to get your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, if Arcanum can pull this off and they don't play Larmier on their schedule, I think they'll definitely be co-CCC champions. But the big thing is I think Arcanum's schedule just hasn't quite been there the way that Covington's been. They won a tight game against Ansonia. Ansonia's sitting at 3-4, probably going to sit on the outside, hate bashing on the schedule. But Arcanum's sitting at 7-0. Not the way Covington does at 5-2 with 2 losses to Laramie and Minster. I think Covington runs away with this ball game. I think they win by 2-3 touchdowns. I think it will open some eyes on how talented Covington actually is, and this will be a big win for Covington to get in the playoffs. I think Covington can go in there and win a couple games and do some damage and surprise some people, and it begins Friday night with a big double-digit win over Arcanum.
Well, that's great coverage right there, Covey. I tell you what, Craig, the guy knows MAC football, he knows CCC football, and great report there, Covey.
Yeah, great analysis, and we'll see if his predictions all come true by next week as we head into week number 9.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Ken, let's talk a little volleyball now. First round tournament action got underway on Tuesday. As you said at the top of the show, a lot of blowouts early. Got some games going on right now as we speak. But for those results from Tuesday, let's check in with the Sound Room, TK and Heavy D. Guys, give me a report. What's going on in volleyball right now?
All right, Craig, we'll start out Covington 2. As you said, blowouts. Nothing happened that we didn't expect. You see Jackson Center winning, moving on to go against Yellow Springs. Probably win again. Obviously, always a solid Jackson team, even though the season wasn't what they wanted. And on the bottom half of that, Franklin Monroe going to take on Riverside. Probably see Franklin go on. And then Tuesday night, I would say Yellow Springs and Franklin Monroe and Covington too there.
And our next bracket, what do you have, Heavy D?
Yeah, Troy won, so Raiders over Tri-County North in 3 straight sets. And a little bit of an upset by Southeastern over Tri-Village. They'll take on number 17 Bokkens. So we've got Russia and Bradford, Bokkens, and Southeastern going into the sectional semifinals.
Yeah, we talk about blowouts, guys, and that was actually the last game that finished up on Tuesday night. I know that Southeastern Tri-Village game went to 5, so kind of you look at the seeds there, kind of an even matchup, so probably the most exciting game on Tuesday as we talk about blowouts. That wasn't one at all.
That's right. Sometimes, a lot of your seeds are, your high seed against your low seed, but eventually the seeds in the middle are got to play each other in that first round, and that's what was the case there.
And I think we got one more bracket to get to, guys.
Yeah, we'll look at Troy 2 there. Fort Laramie over Triad. Again, easily winning. Going up to play Jefferson next. Can't see them do anything but rolling through that one. On the bottom, you got Ansonia, Troy Christian. Maybe one of those tight matches. Maybe goes 4 or 5 there. Probably give the nod to Troy Christian. But Fort Laramie definitely moving on in that bracket.
All right, guys, and that's those brackets. They're like Ken said. You get some blowouts and you get some evenly matched games as well. I saw a report, or I guess a story that Sonny Folks did here just on Wednesday, I believe it was, about some of those first round games, actually questioning whether all those teams should make the playoffs and whether you should get some of those very good teams playing some of the not so good teams. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, perhaps.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of value add for some of these. If anything, it's an opportunity for somebody to get hurt, and you really it's not sharpening your game playing some of the teams that are coming into the tournament.
And maybe kind of reminiscent of what they're trying to do on the running side, where you're adding times to fill in those last couple spots when you're looking at in the springtime track. I'm not sure if they're doing that in cross country. Another idea there, maybe in cross country the same. Start looking at times. In volleyball, look at just where's the borderline of number of wins and quality opponents, and then call it that.
All right, guys. Yeah.
When you look at the volleyball, though, but, with basketball, they let everybody in. Baseball, they let everybody in. I guess it's hard in volleyball not to let everybody in as well. With the cross country and with the track and field, you've got team events there, but you've also got an individual event as well. So I think a lot of time that's where your wild card times come into play, more so for your individual status, I think, than the team status. But I think, guys, we're going to continue to see these blowouts. I don't see that changing. I don't see the OHSA changing anything there. So, if you're a very good volleyball team, get used to a couple cupcakes early on.
Yeah, certainly there's arguments for both sides, that's for sure, guys. And I know some of our viewers out there are probably wondering, what about the Northwest? You going to talk about that sectional up there? Don't have time for that here tonight. We'll talk more about that probably next week when we start talking about district matchups. But again, guys, thanks for that report. All right, Ken, let's get things going here, get things primed for our interview here the second half with Russia coach Mark Travis and start talking some cross country. We've got the district championships coming up this Saturday down there at Cedarville, and we're going to talk D3. The girls race gets things started at 10 o'clock. I'm going to go to you to talk girls first, and I want you to, back in the day, they used to run 2 races, have 2 champions.
Yeah.
Back in your day, these days they run 1 race and name 2 champions. So I want you to tell me that D3 girls race, who do you see as maybe the top couple teams to get the championship plaques, and maybe who's an individual that you think is capable of winning this race?
Well, first of all, Craig, just a comment there, 2 races, 2 champions, I totally understand. But the way it is now, 1 race, 2 champions, I don't understand that. How'd your team run today? Oh, we did fine. We got 2nd place, but we were the champions. No, you weren't. You got 2nd. So anyways, that's my point to the OHSA, I believe. But anyways, girls side, Craig, hands down, 1st and 2nd, Fort Laramie Redskins, the West Liberty Salem Big Orange. Flip a coin. 2 fantastic cross-country teams right there. And, I think they're definitely 2 of the top 3 teams in the state of Ohio. Nobody will come close to them on Saturday. They've got Fort Laramie Redskins primarily, a lot of depth there. They don't have quite the front runners like the Big Orange has, but the Big Orange has 3 girls that'll probably be sub 20. But the Redskins kind of pack it together there quick. So it's going to be a great battle between those 2 great programs. On an individual side, Craig, we're going to go to Springfield Catholic Central. They've got 2 of the fastest girls in the state, Craig. They happen to be sisters. They happen to be on the same team, and they happen to be the only 2 members on that team, which makes it very interesting. But Addie Engel and her sister Bridget Engel will be 2 of the fastest girls in that race Saturday, Craig. Dynamic runners over there for Catholic Central. I'm surprised somebody hasn't aggressively went out and tried to convince these 2 girls that maybe you should run on our team. That way you can be on a team. So that may happen down the road. But for right now, they're wearing the green and yellow. The alumni, one of the more famous alumni of that school is our very own TK. And I'm sure he's supporting those 2 girls very well come Saturday.
Well, I agree with your calls on that. I think Fort Laramie and West Liberty, definitely the front runners. Addie Engel, I think, capable of winning that race for sure. Fort Laramie's been, Liv Borchers has been their top runner. She won the SCAL last week. And then on West Liberty's side, you got Grace Adams. Breaking news happening on Wednesday, though. I was told that you remember a girl by the name of Meg Adams, Grace's younger sister. She's a sophomore this year, ran 1 race this year, got a foot injury at the Bob Shoal, been out all season. Originally, she was going to be done for the season. On Wednesday, I was told, released from her doctor, she will run at the district meet on Saturday. And you talking about Addie Engel, this is a girl, these 2 girls went 1-2 at the district last year. If you remember, Addie beat Meg. Meg comes back at the regional meet, beats Addie to go 1-2. So I don't imagine that Meg Adams coming off an injury is in peak condition right now, but it will be neat to see her back, and certainly a lot for West Liberty to get their number 1 runner back heading into the postseason.
Right. And I'm sure Coach Vogel has got the strategy planned out. She's a terrific coach over there at West Liberty, and she's telling the young Adams girl, hey, don't hurt yourself. Just go out, and you know what? She's got it in her blood. The Adams family, they're all terrific runners over there, Craig. She cannot train for 2 months, and she can still come out and run a sub 20. I promise you that. So she may not run it this Saturday, but by the time the meet goes over to Columbus, Craig, she'll be sub 20, and she could very well help lead that Big Orange to one of the top finishes in the state.
I agree with you on that. And real quickly, on the boys' side, the top 2 teams, in my opinion, who I see number 1, a team that we're not as familiar with, but I think Cedarville. Actually, they're running down there at Cedarville, so kind of a home meet for those guys. They were ranked number 6 in the state the last I checked. They have 2 guys running in the 16s right now. The rest in the 17s. They are led by junior Ethan Wallace, who you see on your monitor. His PR is 16:07 this season. Ran that a little bit earlier at Centerville at the Saturday Night Lights race. So look for him to lead that team. And then the other team, I believe, is one of our friends from the Shelby County Athletic League, and that is Anna. I think Anna is capable of being that second champion team, as we say. They won the SCAL on Saturday for the first time since 2005. Hard to believe. They are ranked number 10 in the state right now in Division III. Last year, actually, if you remember, they were Division II, dropped down to 3 this year. They are led by longtime savvy head coach Dean Stewart, who we know very well, and they have a great 1-2 punch with those guys you see on the monitor there, sophomores Lucas Smith and Hayden Schmidt, who ran 16:36 and 16:37 at that SCAL meet last week. But those three guys right there that I just mentioned, Lucas Smith, Hayden Schmidt, and Ethan Wallace for Cedarville, I also see those three guys as challenging for that individual title. So look for those three to be 1, 2, 3 in that race, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep, sounds good. But, that's a great coverage there. It's that time of year, Craig. You can feel it in the air, and being an old cross country guy, Craig, it feels like cross country season right now.
It certainly does. Well, listen, let's take a short break. We're still going to talk some cross country, but hang on. After the commercial, we're going to come back and talk to Russia head coach Mark Travis.
The boys will be playing open stage at the Leaping Van. Music starts at 8 o'clock. You can find us here every Wednesday night. It's usually the same cats every week, but I can't tell you all their names. A teacher cat and a junkie, all waiting for time to play. Everybody here's got something that we're trying to leave behind. We're all a little broken, looking for a place to hide. Get no answers, don't ask any questions. We're all here just looking for a high. And we're all beautifully broken here tonight.
And welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, Ken, we were getting primed up for the district cross country meet coming up this Saturday down there at Cedarville. That brings us to our next guest. He is in his first season as the head coach of the Russia girls and boys cross country programs. He was formerly Russia's junior high cross country coach, and he's also been an assistant track coach for Russia the past 5 years. We welcome to the program now Mark Travis. Coach, thanks for joining us on Fish Report Live.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, listen, I just mentioned that this is your first year as head coach, and you step into a program that's rich in cross-country tradition. So now that the regular season's wrapped up, we're heading to the district meet this Saturday. Coach, what's been one thing you've enjoyed about the season so far?
Good question. Well, you said it right, Craig. It is a rich program with tradition of excellence and a lot of talent. I've really enjoyed many aspects, really stepping into this role as head coach here for the Russia Raiders, but really enjoyed working at this high school level and working with these wonderful athletes who have such a strong commitment to tradition and excellence for sure. So their hard work is something I really enjoy being a part of, and then also to see their passion and love for the sport of cross country.
Coach, hi, this is Ken. I want to talk to you first about a couple of your juniors who have been leading the way this year, and that's on the girls' side, Becca Seger, and on the boys' side, Nick Caldwell, both running very well for you this year. But when you look at, leaders of the program, you got to kind of start with your seniors. So talk a little bit about your 4 senior girls, a couple senior boys there that you've got helping you along your way in your first season of coaching.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Now, the seniors have been a big part of the leadership for us this year, and seeing those 6 continue to develop and strengthen those leadership skills has been important to me. The seniors have been important, not necessarily in what we see during the race, but definitely the seniors have shown strong leadership at practices and maintaining team morale and really building up the team camaraderie. And senior captain Andrea Monin and senior boys captain Andrew Deloy have been a great help to me, being that, again, that's my first year.
Well, Coach, we're excited to talk about postseason. As we say, we're heading to the district meet this Saturday down there at Cedarville. The girls kick things off with a first race at 10 a.m. And you ran the same Cedarville course not too long ago at that Friendship Invitational. As a matter of fact, on the girls' side, your number 4 runner and number 5 runner, Kaylee McLennan and Anna Meyer, both freshmen, both have their PRs on this same course. Are they going to have to give you those same type of efforts this weekend for you to be successful and move on to the regional?
Yeah, absolutely. This Saturday, we're looking to see both Anna and Kaylee run real big for us and see some more time drop there. They've done a great job for us this season, especially in these last few meets, really stepping it up in the middle of some other injuries and setbacks that we've had from other runners. But both of these freshman girls have been gearing up to get ready to go in this postseason, and they're excited and their confidence is showing, and I have no doubt they'll pull through big for us. I'm excited for districts and postseason this Saturday as well.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about the boys' race, which immediately follows Saturday at 10:45 in the morning. And when you look at our boys' team, last year they did not advance out of the district. This year they're probably sitting borderline. How's that going to motivate these boys Saturday to run harder, to want to get to that next level and have the opportunity to run at Troy and to compete for a chance to run at the state meet?
Yeah, last year's results at districts really have been motivating for this team since day one back in the summer, first day of conditioning for us. Our number one goal since the very beginning for this team was to be back at the regional level and qualify for Troy. So I believe these boys have what it takes, and I've believed in them since the beginning. We've been preparing all season for this, and we're going to need all 7 to run real big and show up for us on Saturday. The boys have to be very focused, and they've been gearing up and getting ready, and I'm excited to see what comes, but I hope to see those boys at the regional meet in Troy the following week.
Coach, when I watch your cross-country program, I look back at my days of being a parent of a cross-country runner. All 4 of my kids ran cross-country at one point in time. My 2 daughters ran, obviously, all the way through high school. But the one thing that was always consistent, especially at the high school level, was the faith that these kids showed prior to the meets, after the meets. How has this, what these athletes do, it's very inspirational to watch this. How has it helped inspire the coach and what you see in this team?
Yeah, this is very true. I mean, this is that team that has that tradition of excellence, and that is so important to us. Every race day is filled with a lot of moving parts and a lot of commotion. There's so much going on from the moment we get to school to leave for the meet to the moment that the last car leaves the parking lot at the end of the day. But to see these athletes take a moment before the race to pause in the middle of it all to bend down on a knee and give thanks to God in prayer, that's very inspiring, and it's really what makes it all worth it as a coach to see that.
Well, Coach, listen, we're running out of time, but I have to ask you one more question. You're a busy guy, and I know you wear a lot of different hats. And one of those, in addition to being a cross-country coach, is you actually have a local business called Made for More. And we certainly have to thank you. A year ago, you gave us coffee cups that we have here right now on our monitor. We use these every show, as well as the guys in the sound room. Last year we had a morning show. We used to drink coffee out of them. Now we drink other things out of them. But can you talk to us a little about Made for More and what that's all about?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love seeing them on the show as well. Yeah, so Made for More is a philanthropic brand initiative that's committed to serving our neighbors in need. So every sale from our product line generates a generous kickback that is given directly to local organizations that are nonprofits, and they're committed to serving local needs. So basically, if you ever see the Made for More brand out and about, that the money that was made from that purchase is serving our local needs and our neighbors in need. So just our little part in sharing a bigger message and giving back. So, yeah, check us out online.
Well, Coach, listen, that's great stuff. From here at Fish Report, we wish you the best of luck in the postseason this coming weekend as you bring your boys and girls team down to Cedarville and run in the district meet. So best of luck to you. You've done a great job this year in your first year of head coach of the Raiders, and we appreciate you taking time to be on our show with us tonight.
Thank you. And go Raiders.
Thanks, Coach. All right, that was the head coach of the Russia girls and boys program, Mark Travis. First time he's been on the show, and I don't imagine it'll be the last. But let's head back to the sound room and check in with TK and Heavy D again. And TK, this time of the year we're excited about postseason, but the flip side of it is a lot of these local teams start falling off and their season comes to an end. That makes it tougher for you to choose an SCAL Star of the Week. So who do you have this week?
Well, I'm going to go with the sport that's not in the postseason yet. I'm going to do a little football, so again, that kind of narrows things down. But anybody watching the newspapers or whatever probably already saw the big news out of Anna. Riley Huelskamp, running at just over 13 yards a carry on Friday night, became the leading rusher for the Anna Rockets with 4,137 yards in his career so far and counting. Obviously, a couple more games to go, as Kobe said. More importantly, they did win, sets up that big battle for Friday night with Coldwater, and that gets Riley Huelskamp my SCAL Star of the Week.
Well, that's a great choice there, TK. I tell you what, I've never seen him play football, I don't think, but I've seen him play basketball, and I cannot imagine trying to tackle that young man in the open field because he is fast and he is strong, and he's low to the ground.
I like to see him with a golf club in his hand. I bet you could hit a golf ball a long ways, too. So
probably could.
Good call there, TK. And Heavy D, what's in the mailbag this week?
Yeah, we only got one bobblehead in the studio. It's Adam Wainwright for St. Louis Cardinals. They're out. They got swept by the Nationals, so we'll move him over here. In the mailbag from Union City, Ohio or Indiana, I'm not sure. Dear Heavy, last week you talked about having career aspirations when you retire. I talked about wanting to drive a bus. The question of the week is, are you qualified to drive a bus now? If not, what does it take to get qualified? Good question. So I looked up, did a little research on Ohio, and you need to have a GED, so I'm working on that. 2 years driver's experience, and you need to have a CDL license.
All right.
You got some work to do.
I do.
I got a good idea. He could get his bus license, and then he could take us out, like on the weekend.
Like a party bus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that.
We could find a good deal on a bus.
I don't imagine they'd
paint
want
that thing up.
one that said Russia on the side.
No,
but,
no, we'd put Fish Report on the side.
there's a good idea. That's our next venture.
All right.
All right, guys, good stuff. Thanks for that. And with that, it's going to wrap it up for us here tonight. I do want to say special thanks to our guest, Mark Travis, for joining us. Thanks to the viewers out there, as always, for tuning in. Ken and I and the crew will all be back again next week, same time, same place. Until then, have a great rest of the week, everyone.
Hanging at the Fish Report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the Fish Report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the Fish Report. Hanging at the Fish Report.